Let's be honest, in the middle of a heat wave, your air conditioner isn't just a machine, it's pretty much a member of the family. But that essential lifeline is under a constant silent attack. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret battle your AC fights every single day. And I'll show you the simple things you can do to make sure it wins.
Oh, we've all been there, right? You feel that sudden stomach-dropping silence. One minute, you've got cool air, everything's great, and the next, just nothing. But what if I told you that what feels like a sudden failure is almost never actually sudden? It's usually the final, exhausted gasp in a long, invisible war.
So to really get a handle on this, you first have to understand the battlefield. See, in climates that are super hot and humid, your AC isn't just an appliance. It's more like a soldier, right on the front lines, fighting this relentless, unseen war against the elements day in and day out. And wow, this slide right here really puts it into perspective. Look at the staggering difference. An AC in a milder climate, it gets a nice long vacation every year. But an AC in a place like Florida, it's running a marathon that never ends. We're talking nearly double the hours every year. There's just no off-season, no time to recover. It's a constant, brutal fight.
And these are the enemies it's up against, every single day. You've got that brutal 92-degree heat, that soupy, sticky humidity that forces the system to literally wring gallons and gallons of water out of the air. You've got power surges from thunderstorms and that corrosive moisture that just loves to eat away at all the metal parts. It's not just one thing, it's a full-on, coordinated assault.
So when your AC is losing the battle, how does it ask for help? Well, it sends out distress signals, an SOS if you will. And learning to spot these signals is absolutely the key to stopping a little problem from turning into a total catastrophe, and a really expensive one at that. All right, let's start with one of the most common and honestly, one of the sneakiest problems out there, the clogged condensate drain. It seems so small, so insignificant. But as you're about to see, this tiny clog can set off a disastrous chain reaction that ends with water damage, a dead system, and a major headache for you. So here's how this little disaster unfolds. Your AC is constantly pulling moisture out of the air, right? Well, that dark, damp drain pipe becomes the perfect little science experiment for growing algae and sludge. Eventually, it clogs up, the water has nowhere to go, and it backs up into the unit. If you're lucky, a safety switch trips and just shuts the whole thing off. But if that switch fails, you could be looking at a flooded attic and a ceiling that's about to collapse. No joke. Okay, next up is a part called the capacitor. The easiest way to think about it is like the spark plug for your AC. It gives the motors that big jolt of energy they need to get going. The problem is that constant, punishing heat just cooks these things over time, causing them to burn out right when you need them most. And this right here is the classic sign of a dead capacitor. You go outside and you can hear that frustrating hum, like it wants to start, but it just can't. That sound is a definite SOS, telling you that your AC's spark plug is officially gone. And that brings us to, well, the big one, the absolute worst case scenario, the death of the compressor. This isn't just some random part, it's the literal heart of your entire system. It's what pumps the refrigerant, the lifeblood, through the whole unit. And when the heart stops, the system is dead. But here's the thing you absolutely have to remember about this. Compressor failure is almost never a surprise. Your system will be screaming for help for a while. You'll hear loud, grinding, clinking noises. These are just symptoms of a much deeper problem. And usually, that problem is a lack of basic maintenance. Things like dirty coils or a slow refrigerant leak make the compressor work so hard that it literally works itself to death. So you get the bad news. A big part has failed on your older system. Now you're stuck with that big, stressful question, right? Do you sink more cash into what feels like a losing battle, or is it finally time to just replace the whole thing? All right, to help you make a smart, logical decision instead of a panicked one, I'm going to share a super simple but really powerful tool. It's called the $5,000 rule. All you do is take the cost of the repair and multiply it by the age of your AC in years. If that number comes out to more than $5,000, it's a huge sign that you're probably better off investing in a new system. Let's see how this plays out in the real world. Look at example A, a $300 repair on a system that's 7 years old. You multiply 300 by 7, you get $2,100. That's way under our $5,000 limit, so a repair probably makes good financial sense. But now look at example B, a $600 repair on a 10-year-old unit. Well, 600 times 10 is 6,000. That's your signal right there. You're just throwing good money after bad. it's time to replace it. So how do you avoid this whole repair or replace headache in the first place? You go on the offensive. You stop playing defense and start winning the war before it even begins. And you do that with proactive, preventative maintenance.
And check this out. The numbers on this chart they're just wild. In a tough climate, if you completely neglect your system, you might get 8 years out of it, if you're lucky. But with just regular, basic maintenance, you can almost double that lifespan to 15 years, maybe even more. See, maintenance isn't a cost, it's an investment that pays you back over and over again.
So here it is. This is your battle plan, your checklist for victory. You keep those coils clean to stop the compressor from burning out. You make sure the refrigerant levels are right so you catch leaks before they get serious. And you clear that condensate drain so you never have to worry about a clog. Every single one of these steps directly counters a major threat to your AC. Now look, as important as all this is, you can't win this war by yourself. You need a pro, a trusted ally, in your corner. So the final and maybe most critical step is knowing how to pick the right person for the job. So when you're looking for that ally, here's what you need to keep an eye out for. They've got to be licensed and insured, no question. They should give you clear upfront pricing. And this is huge, they need to really understand the specific challenges of your local climate. A real pro will explain things in plain English and use quality parts because they know a cheap, quick fix today just means a bigger, more expensive problem for you tomorrow. And if you remember just one thing from this whole section, make it this. A top-of-the-line, fancy AC system installed by a hack is a ticking time bomb. But a decent mid-range system installed by a true expert will run like a dream for years. The skill of the technician is so much more important than the brand name on the side of the unit. You know, when you boil it all down, it really comes down to a simple choice: proactive care or reactive panic. Taking care of your system on your own schedule is always going to be calmer, cheaper, and just plain smarter than making one of those desperate, sweaty, panicked phone calls on the hottest day of the year. So yeah, the next heat wave, it's not a matter of if, but when. And you've got to ask yourself, is your AC armed and ready for the fight? Or are you sending your best soldier into battle totally unprepared? The choice, my friends, is yours.